Hi guys, very good evening. So I welcome you to the new episode today again. So today we have Dr. Vijay Khare sir, and it's going to be very different today on the podcast because we're going to talk about the Iran war scenario. So hope you guys like it, and let's begin.
This war is going to continue as long as Trump.
So because of this, will World War III happen? So welcome to the show. Thank you so much. आपने कम समय में टाइम निकाला और you've come here.
Namaskar.
Namaste, sir. Thought a lot about the Iran war scenario. ऐसा से क्या हुआ exactly कि this escalated so fast?
This was not escalated so fast. Actually, this last year, when 12 days war with Israel versus Iran,
Yes.
that was the foundation that it could happen anytime in a West Asia, the war between Iran versus Israel, backed by US. And this is not only a war; it is an entire strategic interest in West Asia. Whereas Israel always thought that Iran could be a future threat with the weapons of particular nuclear weapons, and that was the reason from last several years. Both were hard how war could not happen, but at the same time there was initiatives by US, particularly Obama. During Obama presidency, he initiated a dialogue that we call it is five plus 1. That
Okay.
is a 5 permanent member in Security Council.
Okay.
Whereas those permanent member in Security Council plus Germany, and Iran also agreed to talk with them. But when Trump came in power, in the first term, he withdrew from that agreement, and then the actual crisis started once he has not only withdrew from that agreement, but he declared the sanction against Iran,
Okay.
and then it had problem, particularly internal development as well as the foreign currency real devaluated. Then a lot of issue came in the name of human rights, and apart from this nuclear issue, US wanted to change a regime, whereas
Okay.
the last 30 plus years Khomeini led regime, they wanted to change. But that was the reason, and from several years there is a hegemonic approach by both, particularly who will control this West Asia.
Okay.
And that was the reason from several years. And before that, there was this war started now, but look at last 50-year West Asia's issue. Earlier, 8 years war with Iran versus Iraq. Then Iran is a Shia religious,
Yeah.
Shia sect
Yeah.
Muslim
Yeah.
country, and the neighboring countries, whether you call it Oman, Bahrain, Saudi, UAE,
Yeah.
most of them are from Sunni sect
Yeah.
Muslim community.
Yeah.
And where Iran particularly supporting the terrorist organization in particularly Lebanon, Hezbollah, then the Hamas in Israel, and Yemen and the Houthis. These are the group led by, supported by Iran, and they were all threats to the Israel security environment or particular security issues. And these are the dynamics. It's not one dynamics; there are
Yeah.
different dynamics,
Yeah.
and ultimately, main dynamics is the oil politics, geopolitics, particularly changing nature of geopolitics, where US is trying to maintain its hegemony take example of just a few months back, she captured the president of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Then the Greenland, US wanted to get it.
Yeah.
Then the Cuba, also now they are demanding, and US already is supporting Israel to get start a war in West Asia. So this is geopolitics, this is security dynamics, and particularly hegemony on the oil policy. So this is the main important issue
Yeah.
between Iran versus Israel, supported by US.
Does India need to be scared because of this war?
Definitely, scared means there are the implication. Any war, whether you're a neighboring country
100%,
or
yeah.
wherever
Yeah.
war is going on, that affected not only the regional stability but other than the area. It has the impact, and particularly we are 50% oil we are importing from Gulf and West Asia,
Which
uh,
comes through that
to
passage.
the Hormuz passage.
Hormuz, yeah.
And Iran plays very important role. In fact, there was a pressure from US that time. We had stopped to get oil from Iran, but then we diverted our with the Russian, and now again US is forcing us that we have to get oil from Venezuela.
Yeah.
But from our traditional, from last several years, means historically, Persian, and lot of Persian community, earlier Persian community, or and India also, historically and culturally, we had a very good bonding between Iran and India. And in that context, particularly emotionally, we are attached with Iran, but strategically, we have to take a very move which will fit the global security environment.
Yeah.
And that's why we are not doing we are not supporting to anyone, but we are trying to maintain our strategic autonomy. And particularly, this war is going to impact on India's oil needs, CNG needs, or any other, particularly already the value of Indian rupees goes down around 92. Probably, if war escalated another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then it has been a serious issue, particularly in our energy security needs. Particularly, today I got information that even Pakistan and other regional or countries in South Asia, they are now already asking how it can, So these are the dynamics, and particularly in the Indian context, definitely it is going to happen. Your gold prices, your silver prices, your agriculture, we are exporting large number of commodity in
That's
UAE,
a major hit for India.
UAE and other Arab countries, and that is impacting on us. In fact, most of the agriculture sector, and the grapes,
Basmati rice, grapes, and so much.
So that will going to affect, and ultimately it is impacted on our economy. And as per the statistical data, around 0.3% GDP, global GDP is going to come down because of this war. Because
number.
Israel is spending around 6,000 crore per day against war with Iran, and that is basically this war is a industrial defense industrial complex. Those who the regime, they wanted to change the regime in the name of democratic culture, but at the same time, from last several years, Americans already engaged in a different wars. Earlier the Taliban, then the wherever it is directly it jumps. But this is a hegemonic culture, the approach, and that's the daily issue. And another point here, there is no global institution is coming in. During Cold War, United Nations was one of the important international institutions, whereas now to resolve the crisis between Hamas and Israel, President Trump set up a peace committee and passed the Security Council. So it means the international institution is going to, the defunct, because the US itself is withdrawing her responsibility to maintain international peace and security. So this is the main issue. And third important issue in Iran, particularly Hormuz Strait,
Yeah.
whereas 20% oil comes from this
Yeah.
that strait, and if Iran blocks that strait, then it will be serious problem. But
They've opened it, I think, for India and
this officially they said open it, but it's not easy to detect which is Indian of now,
very right,
if, so there will be a serious issue. Because that passage is very narrow passage. It's a 32-kilometer passage, and then you can easily detect. You can easily see. So these are the issue. But hopefully, I said earlier, Iran and India have a very good strategic partnership. So probably they can support us. But now it is how US pursued its strategic interest. All it depends on it, because the Trump second term midterm election, in a second term midterm election is going to happen in the month of October or November, and he wants something should come concretely. So that's why he's also alert how he can sustain his position in US also.
Because there was this big news happening where Epstein, because of Epstein files, a lot of downfall was happening for Trump.
I don't think that issue is a different. But here, major concern, particularly Israel, already engaged with Hamas, and they have but CIA and Israel intelligence. What is that intelligence name? Mossad.
Okay.
So they were working together to detect the different inputs and getting the different input from different sources, and they got that information. They did it attacked on Iran.
Okay.
So this is very different issue.
Yep. So why did India stop taking oil from Iran?
That was particularly when 5+1 strategic agreement, when US withdraws from that, then we get a good market in Russia, and we import from Russia. But there's not only oil. There are strategic partnership. So we are exchanging scientific things, and even today there are more than 50,000 Indian students, Indians people. They are in Iran, and in the Middle East more than 95 lakhs Indian community in Arab countries like UAE and other cities. So that is serious impact on them. And Iran is threatening to UAE and other countries, Saudi, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, because they wanted to hit the US-led strategic bases, and as long as they kill hit that places, they will not get attention, and that was the reason Iran is attacking on neighboring countries also.
So because of this, will World War III happen, or is just
I don't think it will be a World War III, because First World War was a different, Second World War was a different, and this is a time where most of the war, electronic warfare we call it, neither Iran sharing border with Israel, nor Iran sharing border with the US. There is no direct border. There is no role of army. Whereas 6 lakhs plus 2 lakh means 2 lakh reserve force plus 6 lakh regular Iranian army, standing army. There is hardly any role for them. Whereas in Israel, all technology based war, that has started in 91, where Operation Desert Storm, Operation Desert Shield against the Iraq, when 42 countries come together and they had a war in 91. We call it Operation Desert Storm. And on that time, Skirts and Patrick missile, first time in our generation, were seen on the screen or television. And now we are seeing that drone warfare playing important role.
Yeah.
That is a real serious challenge for Americans and Israel, because in this war, drone is playing important role.
Yeah. They're
And
fighting drones only. Yeah.
we have seen in Operation Sindoor what is the role of drone war, because for drone, to manufacture the drone, you need only $2,000, whereas if one drone, if you hit any aircraft, is more than, you just calculate the cost.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
Iranian is very happy, although they lost their first ladder of leadership.
Yeah.
But from last 1 year, Iran prepared for that it would be attacked by US and Israel. So there is a second and third ladder already, and that's why, in spite of all 30 plus main persons, those who are here, they have been killed, but still second ladder is countering with Israel, not only Israel but the other neighboring country, with the messages that they are going to happen. There is a possibility. Could be a role of China and Russia.
100%. Yeah.
And now the success target, why Iranian getting the success, because most of the radar system Chinese is giving, and they are getting that
they have like full-on support from
surveillance support and radar system, and because of that Iran still is sustaining. But if it escalates in a nuclear war, then it will be then possibility we can call it as a third world war. In fact, the reports came that Iranian side tested
because of 4.3 magnitude earthquake.
But that is not the case, because the Iran already is earthquake zone, seismic zone.
It's just the right time.
Yeah. And even in Nevada, people are talking about
that even US is testing.
But this is not the case. Because already they have whatever they have, the weapons, they are already in a place. But I don't think it can be possible. But
what if Iran drops a nuclear?
Then all radiation comes to them only.
Okay.
If drop a bomb on Israel, rest of Israel will be destroyed, but all radiation comes on their population.
So that is not possible.
Nuclear war is a different game. Not possible. So I don't think. But it will continue. This war is going to continue as long as Trump is in what is in mind. Because he wanted to have he was not expected that Iran can sustain this long term. So much. And not even in global community, they were not expecting that. But the kind of mechanism they have developed, this is, and particularly they somehow they are getting a support. And this kind of war is ultimately give a different result. Take example of when US occupied, particularly after the Saddam Hussein regime, they changed in the name of weapons of mass destruction. Then most of the group Muslim, in the radicalized Muslim, they organized, and lastly what happened? The attack on Twin Towers, World Trade Center and the Pentagon. And then global community talks about the war against terror. So now here new people will come and they will revive their mechanism to against the hegemonic approach. This is a history, and that's why we need to have a proper leadership where leadership can think about how to maintain peace and stability, not only in the regional but at a global level. But unfortunately, there is a crisis of leadership. The Russian Putin is busy with Ukraine. Trump always wants to have it Greenland or Cuba or Venezuela. Then the other side also the Chinese. So now world is in a different frame where one side technology revolution, one side time and space is, while sitting at one place you can connect across the globe anywhere. But at the same time, we are not coming using that technology for the human sustainable development all the time. We are trying to engage somewhere in a particularly American approach that they're more happy to engage in a war. Whereas in Chinese now, from last 30 years, Chinese are experts in engineering,
Yeah.
and that's why, including robotic or take it, all
They've
kind
gone
of.
far ahead in
it's a-
technology.
So
Yeah.
this is the change, and this change, one hand is happening, but at the same time, the war-like situation in West Asia is going to impact across the globe.
So is India ready for such strong cyber techno war?
uh, Cyber security issues are completely different because see, you don't need uh, force for that. If you are expert in that field, you can easily get it all. You can hack. The 3 to 4 years back, the train was stopped. There was an attack on our electric grids,
Yeah.
and entire Mumbai city
Yeah.
it was disturbed.
Yeah.
So this is the cyber security issue is completely different. So you can't predict what is going to happen, but somehow Indian government and India is working on how to counter the cyber attack,
Yeah.
how to counter the terrorism, and how to deal with our neighboring countries. So there's a mechanism, but there's the issue. There are the issue, particularly developing. We cannot spend all money on defense, and we need to have sustainable development with human security. In that context, country like India, in a democratic culture, we are not like other country. So slowly, we are preparing for that.
Yep. So what do you think? Is India balancing its diplomatic relations good with everybody?
It's difficult to say that because in which angle you're dealing. Take an example of Iran. Our investment is very high in Chabahar port. Then, if you ask to Israel, we recently accepted the Hexagon Strategic Alliance, where Israel, India, then Cyprus, Greece, and other two countries is going to member of that, where India can export small arms with the Greece and Cyprus, and India also get critical technology from Israel. That is a Hexagon Strategic Alliance. We were the first, accepted Israel as a nation state, and we give a recognition in United Nations. And 93 onwards, our strategic partnership with Israel is continuing. On the other hand, also strategically, historically, culturally, we have very good bonding with Iran. So it's difficult, You cannot take one side,
Yeah.
and at the same time, we need to focus on our strategic and energy security.
Yeah.
Because if I said earlier, 80% oil we are importing.
Yeah.
So this our energy needs is very different.
Yeah.
And if you get oil from Venezuela, then supply chain management is going to change, and the cost is going to be
Increase.
And already
Yeah.
US said that don't take up oil from Russians. So this is a different dynamics.
Yeah.
And the international politics, international security environment, ultimately what happened as a strategic interest. Rest of the each one has his own strategic interest.
Yeah.
You cannot say that what yesterday happened, same thing cannot
Yeah.
happen
It's very
today.
unpredictable.
It's very unpredictable.
Yep.
So somehow we need to maintain strategic autonomy with our cultural ethos,
Yep.
our historical values, our constitution values, and focus on how to achieve our strategic interest.
Also, your personal analysis on the Iran war scenario. What do you think this will go for? How long, or it will actually end?
As long as Trump is wish, if he's because that's why in the beginning I
Yeah.
said this war is wish of the Trump and Israel prime minister. So they have to work on that because neither Iran is going to talk with them, nor anyone can mediate with them. To whom they and who is going to mediate them?
Yeah.
Because if you intervene in there, then they said that we lost our leaders, we lost how you can These are the all different dynamics.
There's no way
And
to convince them now.
second thing, look at the encirclement of Iran. Last year, 12 days war taught a lesson to Israel and US. And what they did it encircle to Iran.
Yeah.
So there are number of strategic bases. So Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, they brought it. Then other F-16 and other bombers nearby, from Diego Garcia to all places in Saudi, they put it all weapons. So they thought that these are the strategic capability and Iran cannot be retaliated. And they thought that within 2 days it can be stopped. But the Iran still is not using its core strategic arsenal.
Yeah.
That they have more than 3,000 ballistic missiles.
Yeah.
And that's range 400 to 750 and more than that. And
I feel these are just the starters. The main course is still pending.
this is not only starter. When course will come, no one knows.
Yeah.
There will be no starter, no tea, nothing.
Yeah.
So direct hit will happen. This is a very different game.
Yeah.
And it's on leadership.
So your last message for all the viewers who are watching the show.
My last message would be focus on peace. Without peace, nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Peace cannot achieve 100. There is a positive peace and there is a negative peace. So in which kind of peace you required, how to conflict resolve and how to conflict management. It's a long process. It cannot be happen. So ultimately, people like us, the Indian community, who thought that peace should come across the globe.
100%.
But for that, we introspect ourselves also, how we can maintain the sustainable peace across the globe.
Yeah.
So these are this is a very different dynamics, and what we wish that cannot happen in international politics.
Yeah.
So there's all different strategic and security interests.
Yeah. So it was great having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And hope to see you again for a
See you,
longer
sir.
period of
Yes,
time.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for watching the full podcast. Hope you guys liked it. And we'll be doing a longer version of this podcast with Vijay sir again, hopefully. So see you soon, and looking forward for a lot of subscription, likes and shares. Thank you guys.